Given that Cyberverse was split into two separate price points, it sometimes becomes a little hard to determine which figure goes into which price point. Sure, there are some easy ones, Bumblebee goes into the smaller one, Optimus Prime has to go into the larger one, but sometimes the overlap is a little bit confusing. It was made easier in Prime overall because, given the show's budget, they had to limit the character count thanks to the CGI model costs. Supposedly that's why they wrote Arachnid out of the show, because they couldn't pay her voice actor, although I haven't found full evidence for that, so don't quote me. And that brings us to Skyquake, and he's pretty good, but I'm not sure he needs to be at this size. Is it really that necessary? Say what you will about Animated versus Prime, but you have to admit that both of them went to some extreme lengths in the engineering to get things to be screen accurate. Of course, Animated had the advantage of having the toys and the animation being designed at the same time, so they'd often change the animation models, but Prime cannot be discounted either. Several of the toys that came out, even with the budget cuts, were very, very screen accurate, and they turned out quite well. Of course, in the instance of Skyquake, he's pretty accurate, but at the same time, he's also pretty average as well. He's a commander class, so he's supposed to be an event, but he's not really. In the end, he ends up being a Seeker. He doesn't really look like a Seeker in many ways, but he has several of the same issues a Seeker does. For starters, you've got the terrible underkibble with the arms on the sides and the legs sticking out and of course the nose cone will flip down. It's pretty obvious. And of course you've got the paneling issues at the front here and the legs sticking out there. It's an okay jet, but there's a lot of kibble issues. I will say I really enjoy the colour. Unfortunately, the colour's not really coming up on screen, so I think I'll have to do some more colour correction things again, because of course I'll have to. Why wouldn't I do that at this stage? My camera just does not like green for some reason. I'm not sure why. In terms of the design, this part's pretty cool here in the way that the shoulder pads form the outside of the nose cone, but this orange part here is just... why is that even there? It doesn't need to be. Could they just not figure out a way to make this look interesting, so they said, stick an orange part in there? Haha. It doesn't really look cool. I do like the red paint apps that they've got along the wings, though. It's a very nice touch. A subtle, but a nice touch. Also, a quick word of warning, this thing is prone to just falling off, so do be careful if you ever get one. Oh yes, another size comparison that I totally didn't edit in after the fact, because I'm totally not being forgetful again. Yes. Transformation isn't actually that simple. It's got some very nice steps to it. You undo the arms and leave them out to the side. You untab the legs from this back section here, and then you take this torso section. It's on a double hinge that you just bring up a little bit. That will allow you to bring the legs up and the entire torso section down. Then you take the double hinge again and fold it back into the chest. As I said before, Prime had some really interesting engineering going on, although you do have to be careful of these legs because they can fall off sometimes. However, it's always when I'm out of the room. I've never noticed it happen in person. Sometimes the legs have just disappeared. Not sure why. The thighs swivel like so, and the feet fold down. From there, it's Seeker time. You undo the shoulder pads, come around again, the entire section folds in on itself, revealing the head. But with the added bonus that he's got shoulder pads. Of course, you just got to reorient the arms as the final step. And he stands quite well, and he stands resplendently as the guy who was eventually reused as another character using the same character model, who had far better colours. But Skyquake himself isn't that bad either. I only got Skyquake over Dreadwing because he was cheap and available. I guess everyone prefers Dreadwing. But he is a pretty good figure. His articulation's decent. One thing I really like is that he reveals some extra sand paint, which is a very nice touch. You've also got the nice silver paint down there, or more like gunmetal, not really silver. You've got some extra touches of the red here. If I had to complain about one thing, these shoulder pads are very far forward. The arms are back here and the shoulder pads are here. Although I suppose you have to make concessions for a toy this small. And for a toy this small, as I said, the Prime figures were very close to their on-screen counterparts, even at such a small scale. I'm not sure if John Warden was still working on Cyberverse at this state, or whether he'd moved on to Generations at this point, but he was doing some fantastic work at this scale. In terms of articulation, ball joints here, ball joints here, ball joints here, thigh swivel, and a knee bend that gets you some decent movement. Head's unfortunately static, but that's thanks to the transformation. It's pretty much sticking up against the cockpit. It's a very decent robot mode, although he's got a little cockpit over there. Oh, ha ha ha, very funny. He's also quite decently sized for a Cyberverse figure. It's not just him oozing his size, he is actually quite big. Transformation-wise, this guy definitely needs to be at this size, but character-wise, he could have fit into either category. I am glad overall that they put him into this larger scale, but in the end, it wouldn't have mattered either way. He's a fun figure. He's got a very cool transformation, only marred by the fact that the legs are constantly falling off. And his robot mode's quite fun as well, aside from the fact that these push forward too much. But it's a bit of a low-key figure, and I'm not going to actively go out and force you to buy him. You can buy him if you want, you don't have to. I'd wait until someone's selling him at a decent price rather than paying a premium for him, because he's good, but not that good. But now I'm off to buy some Mozzie spray, because unfortunately we've got an infestation in the house at the moment. Oh, Jesus Christ! Oh yeah, we're reviewing Insecticons tomorrow.